All right, welcome back, everyone. Gonna go over something that I am constantly surprised at how many people overcomplicate. You know, if you're familiar with the channel, you know, a lot of the concepts, a lot of the things I teach are very simple. I think that, I often think of trading as almost like building blocks. And if you take enough simple strategies, simple blocks, you can build a skyscraper, okay? So that being said, I'm gonna talk about one of the biggest things that comes into play when people are looking for hot sectors and how to find the best stocks and locate those hot sectors in this video. All right, everyone, welcome back. I am lead trainer with Stocks to Trade, Tim Bowen. Be sure to like, share, subscribe, and share with your friends to get this information out there. And as always, drop us a comment. You know, a lot of these videos are driven by your requests, your comments. So if there's a video, something you like, you don't like, future topic, drop it below and I will get on it. So that being said, you know, a theme right now is oil and gas. Okay, oil and gas stocks have been, and I expect to be, one of the hottest swing trade sectors out there. You know, understand why I talk about swing trades. A little bit slower moving, a little bit longer term ideas, which work great for you if you're a part-time trader. You know, you can't look at the market every day. You're busy. You got a job, etc. But everything I'm going to talk about also applies to hot day trading sectors. But the thing I want to talk about today is how people overcomplicate. You know, I often get asked, maybe you've been on pre-market prep. I'm live every day, 8:30 Eastern, and people will be like, hey, what's hot out there right now? You know, what do I look at to swing trade, et cetera, et cetera. And a lot of it just boils down to, you know, observing the world and recognizing what everybody's talking about. And listen, it is, you know, I'm recording fall 2021 right now. And unless you live under a rock, okay, everyone's talking about gas prices, you know, 14-year highs. I saw, you know, I was recently in California, gasoline over $5 a gallon. You know, it keeps going higher. We're going into the fall heating season. Natural gas is, you know, is going. We recently had an environmental oil spill in, you know, on the West Coast. And, you know, what I'm getting at is if you're following the markets and you're paying attention, a lot of these ideas just appear. And not to quote unquote oversimplify it, but, you know, the best trade ideas and the best, especially again, when we're talking swing ideas and hot sectors, are the things that are just screaming in your face and are readily apparent. You know, go back to one of the biggest ones I remember in recent history. Go back to last fall when the lockdowns first happened. I think of like Blue Apron, you know, stay-at-home meal prep or meal delivery services. I mean, they all went wild. And if you're paying attention to the outside world, if you're following the business news, and I know I can be kind of I'm trying to think of a politically correct way to say this. I could be a little hard. There's a lot of other words that aren't maybe YouTube compliant, but I know I can give you a hard time about this. But quit watching, you know, pop culture. I mean, I get that what the Kardashians do might be interesting, or what their latest reality show. That dates me. Is the Kardashians even on anymore? I don't even know. That shows you how out of touch I am. You know, but or you know, sports even. You know, and listen, I'm not saying you can't have fun, and I'm not saying you can't kick back, but you're on this channel because you want to learn how to trade and you want to learn how to make money. And if you're wondering why do we hear 90% fail rate? Why does everybody lose in day trading? It's because people don't take it seriously. You're watching TV, you're watching sports, you're going out drinking with your buddies, you're sleeping in, you're goofing off, you're not following what's going on in the business world, and you're not looking for actionable trade ideas. Okay? That's why 90% fail. They show up, they try buying some stock, they don't even know why. They don't have a stop, they don't have a plan, and then they're like, "Oh, day trading doesn't work." Okay, to me, it is like crystal clear that oil and gas is going to be one of the hottest sectors for the foreseeable future. I've said this and I've said this and I've said this. Find me a reason. Drop me a comment below. Find me a reason, considering all the things that I've already listed, that the price of oil and gas, natural gas, distillates, etc., aren't going higher in the short to medium term. I'd love to see your comment. Okay, so now that being said, you recognize the theme. Maybe it's cryptocurrencies, maybe it's NFTs, maybe it's oil and gas. How do you actually become, or find actual tickers to trade? Well, what I use is these 52-week breakout scan that is filtered by sector. Okay, so right here, very simple. What I'm looking for is stocks you can work left to right. I filter by sector. I've got this filtered down. You can see 7+ sectors, but I'm looking at stuff that's in play. Cloud computing, technology, again, oil and gas. Then I'm filtering by volume, price, and then this is where I like to say that magic happens. What I'm looking for is stocks that are within 2% of the 52-week high or below. So what that gives me is that range of stocks that are hugging around the 52-week breakout. Why do I care about that? That sets off all the alarm bells. Everybody's looking for the big movers, the big breakouts of the day. Okay, and that is as easy as that. Okay, don't overcomplicate things. If you're, and this is even if this scan comes into play, even if you're looking to day trade stocks, because if you whittle it down by sector, and I look back to Monday night, I did a swing trade strategy session with the Steady Trade team. Go below, check out the Steady Trade team. On Monday, I did 4 webinars this Monday, 4 webinars, 9 a.m., noon, 3:30, and 6 p.m. I don't know anybody that does that. Okay. Anyway, in the 6 p.m. strategy session, we typically go over trying to find that best swing trade of the week. And we settled on MRO and oil and gas stock. And that night we were running the scan, 2/3 of the stocks with volume on this scan were oil and gas stocks. There was a couple technology stocks littered in there. There's always, a few biotechs, COVID-related plays. But that scan told me, okay, am I going to look at technology? Am I going to look at this? Am I going to look at that? 2/3 of my scan's oil and gas. That tells me what the number one hot sector is. So even if you don't care about swing trading, that tells me coming in Tuesday morning, I need to be looking at oil and gas stocks. CEI, okay, very loosely tied to the oil and gas sector. If you go back and look at that chart from late September, early October 2021, it was the number one short squeeze pump and dump out there. They capitalized on that. Okay, CEI, sketchiest stock in the world. It dumped the other day and it'll probably never come back, but it had a 1-month pump on the front side. Why? Because they knew what to do. They knew how to play the penny stock game. And if you know how to play these pumps, you can swing the real stocks like a marathon, and you can day trade the pump and dumps like CEI. And in my opinion, over the last 6 weeks and going into the fall, there's no better sector than oil and gas. And these are simple tools that allow you to find that. Now, depending on when you watch this, it might be something completely different. But if you're reading the business news and you're not wasting your time and wasting your life, you can spot the next hot sector, and it's not that hard, okay? Maybe you think it is. So much of this stuff, as I said in the introduction, is taking simple concepts. I mean, think about it like if you're a programmer, okay? Maybe you're a programmer, maybe you're familiar with programming or not. A lot of like open source programming and any programming really is taking simple code blocks, reusing them to build a more complex system. Think about that. Don't overcomplicate the big picture. You can build up all of the simple things that I talk about in these videos and then create a profitable trading system. But if you overcomplicate one little thing and you've got one simple code block is thousands of pages long, it's probably going to be buggy and it's not going to work. Okay? Focus on simplicity. Keep it simple, stupid. I'm not calling you stupid, but we all know that. So anyway, everyone, hopefully you enjoyed this. Focus on the hottest sectors. I tell you, day trading, swing trading, investing is the best way to go. I mean, look at Tesla. Tesla's probably been the best stock the last 5 years. Electric vehicles, technology, space, everything that Elon Musk, billionaire play, okay? Probably the best trade over the last 5 years. Not a surprise. All right, everyone, like I said in the beginning, drop a comment below. Let me know what you want to see more of. Check out the Steady Trade team. And as always, would love to see you at 8:30 Eastern every single morning here on the YouTube live for pre-market prep. Rapid fire, but it's a great way to get a start on the day. We'll see you next time.